Humans have always loved to cover things up. We wrap gifts in shiny paper, hide blemishes with makeup, and even cover our mattresses with fitted sheets so we don't have to stare at the weird stain that Aunt Martha made during her visit last year. But sometimes people cover up things that are way more than just an eyesore. Here are some history's biggest cover-ups that might make you wonder if the truth really is out there. The disappearance of Amelia Earhart. Amelia Earhart was a trailblazing pilot who set numerous aviation records in the 1930s. So when she disappeared over the Pacific Ocean in 1937, it made headlines around the world. The popular theory is that her plane ran out of fuel and crashed into the ocean, but this has never been confirmed, and many conspiracy theories exist. One of the most intriguing is that the U.S. government knew more about her disappearance than it's letting on. Some believe that the government recovered her plane and even her body, but covered it up to protect national security or to save face. This came about because the U.S. government admitted to losing contact with Amelia Earhart 2 days after she vanished, but only after they had actually received her final coordinates, which suggested that she had landed safely on Howland Island. The fact that she didn't mention any injuries or send a distress signal led them to conclude that she was okay, but just in the wrong place. Unfortunately, no trace of her plane or her body has ever been found, and speculation continues to swirl about what really happened to her. Did the U.S. government have a part in the cover-up? Only time and further investigation will tell. The assassination of President Kennedy. On November 22, 1963, President John F. Kennedy was assassinated in Dallas, Texas. The event sent shockwaves around the world and led to an era of political turmoil and social unrest. The official investigation, the Warren Commission, concluded that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone in assassinating the president. However, this has been challenged by some who believe that there was a larger conspiracy at play. One theory is that the CIA was involved in a plot to remove Kennedy from office because of his liberal domestic policies and his handling of the Cuban Missile Crisis. Others believe that the Mafia had a hand in Kennedy's death because he had cracked down on organized crime. These conspiracy theories persist today, fueled by declassified documents that seem to point to a cover-up. For example, the day before Kennedy was killed, the CIA director ordered all files on the assassination attempts to be destroyed. This could have been routine, but it also could have been an attempt to hide evidence of a conspiracy. Despite the official narrative, many people still believe that there is more to the story and that the truth about Kennedy's death has been covered up. The Roswell Incident. In July 1947, a rancher in New Mexico stumbled upon some debris that looked like it was from a crashed flying saucer. This led to one of the most famous UFO sightings of all time, known as the Roswell Incident. The local newspaper reported that the military had recovered a disc from a ranch, but the next day the military issued a statement claiming that it was actually a balloon. This raised more questions than it answered, and gave rise to conspiracy theories about a government cover-up. The official explanation was that the balloon was part of a weather research project. However, witnesses who saw the original report claimed that the military was trying to hide something. They said that the military showed up in force to the ranch and ordered the rancher not to tell anyone what he had seen. The government's credibility was further damaged when, in the 1970s, the Air Force released a report claiming that the debris was actually from a nuclear surveillance device being tested. While this may have explained the origin of the debris, it didn't account for the eyewitness accounts of the rancher and others who claimed to have seen a real UFO. To this day, the government has not released all of the files related to the Roswell incident, leading some to believe that there is more to the story that they are trying to cover up. The Tuskegee Syphilis Experiment. In 1932, the U.S. Public Health Service began a study on the effects of syphilis on black men in Tuskegee, Alabama. The men were told that they were being treated for bad blood, a term used to describe various ailments, and were given free medical exams, meals, and burial insurance. However, they were never told that they actually had syphilis, nor were they given treatment. Instead, the researchers wanted to see what would happen if the disease went untreated. This is one of the most egregious examples of medical malpractice in history, and it raises serious ethical questions about the role of race in the experiment. The men were not given informed consent, meaning that they did not know they were participating in a study or that they had syphilis. In fact, many of them believed that they were receiving treatment for their ailments. The study continued for 40 years, during which time the men suffered and died from syphilis. It was finally halted in 1972 after one of the participants, a man named Herbert Banks, filed a lawsuit against the government. This led to the creation of the National Research Act of 1974, which established guidelines for the protection of human subjects in research. The full story of the Tuskegee syphilis experiment was not revealed until 1974, and many believe that the government tried to cover it up to avoid scandal. The Martin Luther King Jr. cover-up. Martin Luther King Jr. was a pivotal figure in the civil rights movement, and his assassination in 1968 sent shockwaves around the world. The official investigation concluded that James Earl Ray acted alone in killing King. However, some believe that there was a conspiracy to assassinate King. One theory is that the U.S. government was involved in a plot to silence King because of his activism. Some believe that King's assassination was part of a larger plan to prevent the civil rights movement from gaining too much momentum. This came about after King's close friend, Ralph Abernathy, claimed that someone was trying to kill him but the government didn't do anything to protect him. Coretta Scott King, Martin Luther King Jr.'s widow, has also long suspected foul play in her husband's death. She believes that the government failed to protect her husband and that there were other people involved in his assassination. The FBI, under the direction of J. Edgar Hoover, had been surveilling Dr. King for years, even using illegal methods to gather intelligence on him. They were particularly concerned with his close relationship with a man named Stanley Levison, who they believed was a communist. They never found any evidence of wrongdoing on Dr. King's part, but they continued to harass him nonetheless. Some believe that the FBI's actions may have played a role in the cover-up of Dr. King's assassination. The MH370 cover-up. Malaysia Airlines flight MH370 disappeared in 2014 while flying from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. The plane was carrying 239 people, including 12 crew members. The incident shocked the world and raised a lot of questions. The official investigation concluded that the plane was deliberately flown off course and crashed into the Indian Ocean. However, the families of the victims believe that there is more to the story and that the government is covering it up. They say that the government has not been transparent enough in its investigation and that it has not done enough to find the plane or the black box recorder. The fact that the plane has not been found lends credence to the conspiracy theories. Some believe that the plane was hijacked and is being held somewhere in a hangar. Others believe that the government shot down the plane by mistake. Until the plane is found and the black box recorder is analyzed, the truth of what happened to MH370 may never be known. The Montauk Project. The Montauk Project was a top-secret government experiment that allegedly took place at Camp Hero State Park in New York in the 1940s. The project was said to involve mind control, time travel, and other forms of advanced technology. According to the conspiracy theories, the government was able to control people's minds using devices such as electromagnetic weapons and ultrasonic devices. They were also said to be experimenting with time travel and had created a time machine that looked like a telephone booth. The theories suggest that the government covered up the project to avoid public panic and scrutiny. However, there is little evidence to support these claims. Many of the stories about the Montauk Project come from alleged eyewitnesses, but their stories are often contradictory and unreliable. Additionally, the government has denied that the project ever took place. Nevertheless, the theories persist and continue to fascinate people who are interested in the paranormal and conspiracy theories. From missing persons to government experiments, there are countless cover-up stories throughout history that have never been fully uncovered. It can be difficult to separate fact from fiction, but the truth may be out there. If you want to learn more about these topics, then keep watching. Do you know of any other cover-ups that should have made the list? Share your thoughts below.